Stage, you can be a little bit more crazy and not have people question. Like in New York, for example, Repo Man was played by a black actor, and Shiloh was white. So, I think in a film, your suspension of disbelief is a little bit less, even though we're doing a story about genetics and stuff. We don't want people to have like a further question of like, dude, she's not your kid. But yeah, no, on the stage play we had it was kind of more of a all bets are off. Like Blind Mag was usually played by a black actress. The character of Amber Sweet, which used to be Heather Sweet, was always played by an Asian actress. But I think in the final analysis, we got people that were just sort of the best for their parts. Didn't really consider like both singing, acting, age. On stage we always usually got people much younger to play older, to play like the Roddy character, for example. There wasn't a whole lot of 70-year-old actors who'd be willing to come and work in a black box theater for no money for months and months and months. So we'd get someone that might be in their 20s and age them to play Roddy. But when we got to make the movie, of course, and we actually had some budget, we could get someone like Paul Sorvino, who's perfect, I think.
Do you know what's awesome about the casting of this? And I can honestly say this: normally when you do a casting list, you make a list of 5 people you want, 5 or 10 people, and you go to a casting director, and the casting director will throw out ideas. We got every single #1 choice on the movie for every actor. And a perfect example is when we were doing the stage show. I said to Terrence and Darren, if we ever got to do this as a movie, I want Anthony Stewart Head to play Repo Man. And it was kind of a fight to get him finally.
It was a huge fight.
It was a huge fight. Originally there was another actor cast as Repo Man, and it was funny because every time I would talk to the producers, I'd push Anthony Stewart Head. And finally, when this other actor didn't work out, I made copies of Once More with Feeling, went to everyone, and the thing, and I said, here is our guy. Alexa was even a funnier story. Is the casting director was giving us Avril Lavigne and Mandy Moore and these people, and I was like Alexa Vega, and they were like no here's Avril Lavigne, and so they wouldn't get me in touch with Alexa Vega. So I'm an internet freak. I'm on MySpace like 24 hours. I was just checking it 1 second ago. I'm on MySpace constantly, and so I was like, well, if I'm on MySpace, I wonder if Alexa's on MySpace. So I looked through MySpace and I found Alexa Vega, and I started contacting her and I started stalking her. And,
No, you started like writing me all these messages saying, I have this amazing movie that I want you to take a look at, and I just thought, oh my gosh, you get so many of these messages a day, you don't really know whether it's like a kid at home who wants to make a movie in his garage or like if it's real. And finally, he writes another message that said, I directed the Saw film, like, you should really check this out. So I was like, oh, well, my little sister was in Saw 1. I'll just ask her if this is the director.
Her sister was the main kid in Saw 1, Dr. Gordon's daughter was her sister.
So I was just like, hey, Matt, is this the director of Saw? She goes, no. He directed the last three,
yeah.
But I was just looking it up, and he was legit and not some freak. And,
but your agent turned it down. Her manager turned it down for her.
Yes, my agent, I guess, twice. And then even after I said, I really want to do this project, she was just like, I urge you not to. And I said, well, I'm doing it because I like it. But, I mean, it really was a battle for them. I mean, trying to find, we didn't have Sarah Reitman until we started, like, recording.
Before we started recording, yeah. That was... for the casting process, I would say that I had a better time casting this movie than anything because it's amazing when you write out your absolute dream cast and you're able to get that absolute dream cast. That never happens, and so I think that we were extremely lucky. So, and whoever thought you'd see Paris Hilton and fucking Ogre in a movie together? Not me! We have time for a couple more questions, then we're going to do some signings and good stuff. Over there, yes.
I'd love to. Right now, it's not really in the works. He asked if there would be a Repo graphic novel. I think it all comes down to how well we do. If the DVD sells well, I think I get constant requests from people saying, what do I have to do to get it back on stage, for example? I'm always thinking, what do I have to do to get a Grave Robber action figure, right? but I'd also love to see a graphic novel. And even if there wasn't a graphic novel, presently there's hundreds and hundreds of pieces of artwork that were created for the film. Some that you see up there, but some that weren't. In fact, I probably drew triple what you actually see in the movie, just for whatever reason didn't make it. So even with just what currently exists, there's enough to create a pretty cool book, I think. But I'm actually working on a graphic novel presently that's not Repo related, that I'm really seriously contemplating self-distributing so that I don't have to deal with the nightmares that we've been dealing with. Which you can find more out about at my website, which is terrencedunich.com.
Two more questions. One right here, keep your hand up for a while.
What's the news on the prequel?
Well, again, it kind of goes into the same thing. I always thought it would be great to do a prequel. This movie was much bigger. The initial budget that we were asking for was over $25 million, and we ended up with $8 million. So we couldn't do the kind of massive thing that we wanted to do. And so we had to cut it down. We had to basically do the smallest version of the movie. And that meant a lot of songs and story points went by the wayside. And so one of the ideas is there's something that happened before this and something that happened after this, and we're telling you the middle part of it, which is the most manageable for us. And I always said it'd be great to do a prequel to this. But again, you have to look at it from a mentality of an exec or a studio person. This movie cost $8.5 million, and it was somewhere from $7.5 to $8.5 million. And we're in 12 theaters at any given time. We've only made $100,000 on this movie, so it's a massive failure. I mean, it is a colossal failure in terms of dollars and cents. So, but we never had the chance of making that money. Again, with Saw, you're in 3,500 screens. On the opening weekend, you're going to make your money back. So the DVD kind of is the end-all, be-all for that. If the DVD comes out and we show them that there is an audience for this, then again, that's where the prequel comes in.
I want to add something to that that's kind of awesome to be witnessing. You know, Darren, with the success in Saw sequels that he directed, I think on paper is something like the most successful box office horror director of all time, which is pretty crazy, right? So the guy has options. Grave Robber, not so much, right? But we just finished this Repo movie, and for a year now, he and I have been round the clock pushing it forward. I mean round the clock. 7 days a week, 14 hours a day. It's like constantly doing it, and a lot of it is no fun. It's like we've become managers more so than artists, which is really, I think, how we all see ourselves and what we want to be doing. But literally, after all this, you know, sleepless, constantly pushing, he'll call me and say like, okay, if the DVD reaches this number on week 1, I'm setting up a meeting and I'm pitching Repo 2. It's like that's, and I think for both of us and everyone, it's like the idea of just going and doing something normal after this experience would feel like a real just step backwards. So I don't know whether it's Repo or something else. I think we're all committed to doing things out of the box.
This is again why I think I have, and again I'm very honest about this. And this is something that it's kind of a badge of honor, but also kind of kicking the balls at the same time. I lost a lot of movies after Repo, and what happened was that again. The success of the Saw films, I had 4 or 5 projects lined up, and I did Repo, and again, Repo was torn apart by critics, and all of a sudden, these movies all fell apart, and now I'm left completely jobless. Phone calls aren't being returned. You know, here I was, this golden child of the horror genre, and I can't get a fucking meeting anywhere, because this movie, they're saying, is a colossal failure. And I think it's a massive success. The fact that you guys are here right now, freezing cold weather, dressed up, I think it's a success. And it's kind of made me re-look at myself and what I got into filmmaking for, and again, filmmakers or actors out there. I didn't get into it to make money. I didn't get into it to be on the front page of magazines or anything like that. I got into it to engage and move people, to actually instigate